Welcome back to the channel. So, we will be starting this new series where we will be solving DSA problem in Python, and these problems will be primarily for the data related roles like data engineer, data analytics, data science, uh, data scientist, right? So, as we know, like for the data related roles, we generally get uh, questions on array and strings, right? So those questions we will try to solve the popular questions, right? So today we will be starting with two some problem. So it is quite easy and famous problem, right? So let's read out the problem. Given an array of integers, nums, and an integer target, return the indices of two numbers such that they adds up to the target. Okay. So we have been given in the input the integer array and the target, and we need to find who are the two values whose sum is 9, and we just need to return the index of those two values. So if we see here, we need the target 9 as a output for the basically the target value is 9, and we just need to find which are the two values whose sum is 9. So if we see here 2 and 7, if we add these two values, the sum would be 9, right? So what are the index of these two values? 0 and 1. So we just need to return the 0 and 1, right? Similarly, if we see the next example, here the target is 6, right? So we need to find which are the two elements whose summation would be 6, right? So what we can do, we can just iterate over this array. Like in the brute force approach, we will solving this problem using two for loops. So what we will do, we will iterate the array using two for loop. One will be for I, one will be for j, and j will be one step ahead of I, and we will add those two values and check if the summation is the target. If it is the target, then we will return the indices of I and j. I think this is quite easy to understand, right? So let's start solving this. So let me find the length of the array. So we can use length of array, and then we can have I loop I in range of n, and then j in range, and then we can just check if a of I plus a of j is equal to t. If it is t, then we can just return I comma j, right? And yeah, I think this is the solution. And if we do not find above, then we can just return -1 comma -1, right? Let's try submitting this, like running this one. Post, okay, expected and 0 1. Okay, okay, so I have not commented this one, so let me run it again. So we have made one error basically in the code. So instead of so as I said, the j will be one step ahead of I, right? So the start point of the j should be I plus 1, right? Let's try rerunning this. All the cases are accepted. Let's try submitting this one. It's got submitted. Okay. So the time complexity of this problem would, like, this approach would be O of n square. Why? Because we are using these two for loops. And the space complexity would be O of n. Why? Because we are not using any of the extra spaces. We are just using few variables, right? Okay, so let's try solving the same problem with a little better approach where we will be using a map, right? So if we use the map, then the time complexity will reduce to O of n, and then space complexity will be O of n in the worst case. Okay, so let me explain you the approach with this same example, right? Let me put this here. Okay, so let me put the index first, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and okay, and we will have one for loop, right? Because the time complexity is O of one over n. Okay, so what we will do, we will create a map. So basically, the map would be dictionary, right? Where we will have the key and the value, right? So how we will approach this problem? So we will iterate to each and every element. So when I will be at the zeroth index, the value will be 2, right? We will check in the map if 2 exists or not. So 2 does not exist, right? So we will put 2 and the key would be 2 and the value would be the index of that element, that is 0, right? So this is done. Then I will go to the next uh, index and then again see if 7 uh, okay, so I made one problem, basically one mistake. Instead of putting 7 over here, what we will put? We will put the target minus that value, right? That is 7. So we will be putting 7 over here in the map, right? So this 7 does not exist, right? In the first place, in the first iteration. So 7 will come here. And then in the next step, when I will be 1, we will check in the map if the 7 exists or not. So this exists, right? So we will get the index from there. And so index would be what? 0. And the current index would be what? 1. So 1. So we will return this 0 and 1 as output, right? I hope this is quite easy, right? So let me write the code and it will be more simpler. So let's start with the same, like finding the array, size of the array, and then we can have I comma x y. We will be basically using enumerate x and enumerate um, a. Let's try printing this one. I comma x. Mm, okay. Okay. Instead, so here index is like this. Okay. So what enumerate is does is it returns the index and the array element value. So if we see 0, 2, 1, 7, so basically this 0, 2, 1, 7, 2, 11, 3, 15, right? So this is I wanted to explain it to you like how enumerate work. That's why I printed this one first. So what next? So what we can do, as I said, the first step is to check if this X exists in the dictionary or not. So we have not made the dictionary yet. Let me make. So we can have dict map equal to dict, right? We'll check if X in dict map. If exists, then we can just return dict map of the X and the current index, right? And if it is does not exist, then we will come in the else part and we will store the values, right? What will store? We will store t minus, I explained over here, right? T minus the current element, that is x. and the value would be the index result, right? And if all these things doesn't uh, work, then minus one minus one, right? And let's try running this. Okay, so this got accepted. Let's try submitting this. This got accepted, right? So the time and space complexity would be O of n, right? Because that we are using one for loop, and the space complexity would be O of n because we are using one dictionary, right? So yes, if you like this content, please do like, subscribe, and share the channel. Thank you. Bye bye.